everybody. How you doing? Happy Saturday. I hope as you join, you're going to have a great time. We're doing a keto shrimp, a garlic shrimp. It's called an Alfredo, I guess, basically. So, what's everybody going to do today? The weather is gorgeous here in Green Bay. After we get done with this, I am going to go plant some thyme seeds. Thyme the herb, not thyme the time. Yeah, you guys all get me. So this recipe is simple and it's really quick. All right, so what you need is to remember to take your shrimp out of the fridge. Ta-da! I remembered now. Okay, so this, I've made this, of course I didn't follow the recipe the first time I made it, imagine that. And I am kind of not going to follow the recipe again, imagine that. And here is, the recipe calls for, I'm just going to give you the, I'm going to turn this down a little bit. Oh, I'm going to turn it down, not up. Okay. So, the recipe calls for 1 tablespoon of butter, and what you do is you're going to cook your shrimp in that. And it's a pound of shrimp. The first time I made this, I used 2 pounds of shrimp, and it was fabulous. I found it a little salty the first time I made it, so with this one, I cut back the salt. Now I'm going to tell you what the recipe calls for, but that's not exactly how I would recommend making it. But you should probably make it the first time as the recipe calls, and then adjust it to your taste. So 1 pound of butter, 1 pound, that would be some good shrimp. So it's 1 tablespoon of butter, 1 pound of shrimp, 4 ounces of cream cheese, so a half a block of cream cheese, you can try to cut it into cubes, a half cup of whole milk, 1 tablespoon of garlic powder. Make sure I didn't run out of gas. I didn't. Good. 1 tablespoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of dried basil, and it says a half a teaspoon of salt. But like I said, I cut that in half. A half a cup of, once your butter is melted, I'm going to go ahead and start putting the shrimp in. Now I've cleaned these shrimp. I've taken the shells off. They're frozen raw shrimp. I have an aunt down in Mississippi. She of course gets fabulously fresh, amazing stuff. I have a friend who has a shrimp boat down there, or used to. But this is just frozen raw. I wouldn't recommend the cooked frozen stuff. But I go ahead and peeled this. I kept the shells, put them in the freezer so I can make some shrimp stock. And I make sure to take all the little poopy vein things are out, like the little intestinal tract, which runs along the back. And most of your raw shrimp that you buy in the grocery store has that opened up for you already. And they do their best, but just like when I said when I was cooking my chicken, I clean my shrimp too. I cut the other side out, make sure all the little veiny stuff is not there, because it's gross. If you've never cooked shrimp, shrimp is the easiest thing to cook, because it's got an internal little temperature. See how it went in white as you saw it? Look at that. There we go. That is pink. It turns pink. It means it's done on that side. Flip it over. It's really easy to overcook shrimp. So we're just cooking this, and I'm just going to flip them as they kind of get done. Back to the recipe. So I told you about the half a cup of grated Parmesan. I splurge and go ahead and buy the good stuff and actually grate it myself. Hey Katie, how you doing? Can you see my new KitchenAid in the background? It's over there. Yep, there you go. Jay got it. So we're doing garlic shrimp. Hello, Missy. We're doing garlic shrimp Alfredo, but it's a keto recipe. And I'll talk through how you can change it if you're not on keto, or how you can make it even better if you are on keto. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just kind of sauteing a pound of frozen, unthawed shrimp. And I'm just kind of sauteing them in 1 tablespoon of butter. And I tend to, the recipe, as I go through it, when I tell you what the recipe says, it says just to go ahead and chuck everything in after this point. I don't. I pull it out because shrimp is so easy to overcook. And once it's overcooked, it's disgusting. Well, it's not disgusting. It's just like chewing on a eraser on the tip of a pencil. So I am going to pull these out and put the next round in. So we have 1 tablespoon of butter. We have 1 pound of shrimp that I have peeled and cleaned to make sure that poopy vein is not in there. I saved the shells that I took off, put them in the Ziploc bag and put them in the freezer because I'll make a shrimp stock out of that because I love doing that. And then, so what are you guys doing today after this? It's, like I said, it's beautiful here. I'm going to go plant something. Well, something. Thyme leaves for herbs. All right, so once you've got these sauteed in your butter, then what we're going to do is we're going to take that 4 ounces of cream cheese. We're going to take a 1/2 cup of whole milk. Again, this is a keto recipe, so none of this is low-fat stuff. It's full fat. There. We'll just set that aside. And then you kind of melt the cream cheese in the pan that you cooked your shrimp in. Of course, getting all that butter goodness and shrimpy goodness. Like I said, I pull these out because I don't want to overcook them when I'm cooking the sauce. Even though the recipe says, you know, go ahead. Missy, you got to work? That's a bummer. I'll think of you as I'm getting dirty fingers. Okay, so then the other thing you need for this, besides the tablespoon of butter, pound of raw shrimp, the 4 ounces of cream cheese, a 1/2 cup of whole milk. Then what I did is I pre-mixed my dry ingredients, just like baking. I've got a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, even though the recipe called for a full teaspoon. I just found it too salty. So it's I have a 1/2 teaspoon in here. This has also got the tablespoon of garlic powder, the dried basil. This also calls for 5 sun-dried tomatoes cut into strips. Now, this keto recipe is got 200, and this recipe makes 4 servings. In this 4 servings, the recipe says it is 298 calories per serving. Okay? Now, the important part is it has 6.51 grams of net carbs if you're doing the keto. And the net carb, half of those net carbs are coming from the sun-dried tomatoes. Now, the recipe calls for 5 whole sun-dried tomatoes. I just took 4 and I cut them. I didn't put them into strips. I cut them and diced them because that way you're not biting into just a whole big strip of a tomato. So that's what I did. That's what's in this little container right here. But half of the carbs in this recipe come from the tomatoes because tomato is a fruit. So the carb is higher because obviously it's a fruit. All right, so, and that is what takes so long in this recipe is cooking the shrimp. Basically, they're not translucent anymore. They're white, little pink to them. And I pull them out, and now I'm going to melt that cream cheese and the milk and the the spices and herbs together. Now, here's where you can play with this a little bit. I mean, if you're you know, adventurous, you can put a little thyme in. You can put some of that bay seasoning. But if you're going to put bay in there, that, you know, that, oh, you guys know what it is. The bay seafood seasoning sprinkle stuff. If you're going to use that, make sure you cut way back on the salt and try it before you go adding too much salt. Now I pulled my shrimp out so they don't overcook, and I have in here, I put a half a cup of the whole milk, again, keto recipe. If you want to do this and you want to make it lighter, obviously you can go half fat, you can go fat free. Depending on how you're trying to eat, I would be cautious in your fat frees and your low fats, because sometimes what they're doing when they do that is they're putting chemicals in. Or your full fat. Hey Carla, oh, my sister-in-law's on there. Wow, you really cut your hair short, girlfriend. Oh, you guys haven't checked this out. Can you get a close-up, Jay? Here's my Wolverine earrings in case.
There you go.
There we go. My finger was on. These are my Wolverine comic book earrings, everybody. And you can get all your accessories on roguemail.com. My sister is the most creative person. And obviously my sister-in-law, too, is a fabulous crafter. So anyway, we're doing this garlic keto shrimp Alfredo. And what we've done so far for all you people who have joined, thank you for joining. And what we've done is we've cooked off a pound of shrimp and a tablespoon of butter. And I have that out of the heat so they don't overcook. And now in the pan, I've got a half a cup of full fat milk. I've got 4 ounces of cream cheese. I'm going to put the dry herbs in, which is 1 tablespoon of dried garlic powder. Don't use the garlic salt. Again, here, you're going to want to control some of your salt intake, and if you put garlic salt in instead of garlic powder and then put salt in, you're not going to be able to eat this. It's going to be way too salty. So at this point, I'm just melting that cream cheese in there. Once this kind of melts together, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw in a half a cup of freshly grated Parmesan cheese and 4 ounces. I'm going to actually put the 4 ounces of sun-dried tomato in now. Now that's 4 whole sun-dried tomatoes, and I just put them into little chunks. I just kind of cubed them up. Oh, and that garlic is starting to smell like fabulous. Oh, we're getting bubbles. That's perfect. Now this recipe, like I said, I've altered this a little bit. This recipe actually calls for a half a cup of kale, chopped kale. Kale's a little tough. I like my greens a little tender. Yes, I just did another new word for you, tenderer. So what I have is spinach. I have a small bag of spinach, and I pick the little stems off. I know I'm futzy. I picked the stems off and I washed it real well, and really you can almost, oh, see, I almost forgot the Parmesan. That's freshly grated. It's not this brand, sorry. I just had the container. But then you can shut the heat off because you're really not cooking it anymore because your shrimp is already cooked. It's still hot. But I'm throwing in a small bag of spinach, which I have taken the stems off and I have washed. Because spinach really does put the shrimp back in with all the juices that are on the plate. So like I said, the recipe actually calls for kale, a 1/4 cup of fresh kale. you know, whatever kind of greens you really like, toss them in there. And really, that is the whole recipe. That's it. It's done. And once everything is prepped, as you can see, it does not take that long to make a diet friendly or a keto friendly diet. Now, with this, you can do a lot of things. This is a great place to start, okay? And here is the, yep, see, and the spinach wilts down. It's almost like a hot salad. So you could put more greens in there. You can put less greens in there. You can skip the greens. If you are not on a keto and you're just eating whatever, this would be fabulous served with a little bit of fettuccine. Spinach fettuccine would be delicious, of course. You can serve it with rice. You can serve it with cheese ravioli, which would be incredible. Like I said, I've cooked this for a larger group of people. Now they say that this is 4 servings. It depends on the serving, depends on how hungry, depends on when you're eating. I have done this with 2 pounds of shrimp, everything else the same, and I've fed 2 full-size strapping gentlemen and myself with 2 pounds of shrimp and nothing additional from that. But you can serve it with fried potatoes if you want to do that. Or what would be really fun is to fry up about 8 ounces of bacon. Then put a little bit of butter in there. Then do your shrimp. Then do the sauce. And then garnish it with the this crunchy bacon. That would be absolutely delicious as well. Again, this is a great this is a great recipe to add to, take away, depending on how you're trying to eat. If you are trying to go keto, again, this recipe is 6.5 grams of net carbs. And again, most of those grams of carbs are coming from the tomatoes, because tomato is a fruit, has more sugar. So you could cut the sun-dried tomato completely out, and that would lower that net carb in this recipe. It does have 22 grams of protein, and I, of course, am going to serve this for lunch for Jay and I right now, but I have fresh baked ciabatta bread in the oven. Believe it or not, I am, eating the whole pan. You actually probably could just throw a little spinach in there. Leave the sun-dried tomatoes out, just throw a little bit more spinach in, and you know what? If you ate the whole thing, it wouldn't be a terrible thing, but yeah, you probably don't want to. But with my new mixer, in case anybody didn't see, I finally got my new stand mixer, my KitchenAid. I'm so excited. And that's the beep you just heard is my new ciabatta bread. I've never made ciabatta before. So actually, you're going to get to see me take out ciabatta. Now, this is like the 3rd bread I've made in one day. Less than 24 hours, my 3rd kind of bread. I've just been itching to make bread. I can't explain it. So anyway, I am going to check these ciabatta loaves. Now, I made loaves. Let's see. Oh, yeah. I made... This one I might leave in a little bit longer. It looks a little bit... Oh, no, I'm not going to leave it in. I'm going to take it out. So first time ever making ciabatta bread. And actually it was kind of easy. I started it last night. This is not what we're talking about. We did the garlic shrimp, so sorry about that. But this is what I'm serving with that for Jay and I for lunch, just in case you guys wanted to know. Freshly baked, just out of the oven, ciabatta bread, which is not keto friendly, by the way. Nor is it gluten-free. But here this is, so you can do all that stuff. Well, I think that I'm going to let you guys go. Have a beautiful day out there. Like I said, I'm going to go paint. I did paint, by the way, but I did that last night and put it up. I painted a new abstract thing. I love abstract art. So I'm going to go plant thyme seeds after I eat this shrimp Alfredo with spinach. I will take a picture of the actual recipe and post that on Facebook for you guys. Don't be afraid to experiment with this. As long as the shrimp isn't overcooked, you can't go wrong. And if the shrimp is overcooked, yeah, so what? So you got to chew it. That way, if you do eat the whole pan, Missy, if the shrimp are overcooked, you're burning calories because you got to chew it more because it's rubbery. Cool? All right, you guys, have a great day. It was awesome to see everybody. I look forward to hearing from the people, too, that weren't able to join live. That's always real fun. Love you guys. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Bye-bye.